brings us to shopping. Nearly all of the local shops in my area and the surrounding towns have closed down, one by one, including the markets. There's no more clothes shops, kids' clothes shops, toy shops, shoe shops. There's no more bakers or butchers or even a simple newsagent or corner shop. Instead, they were to be replaced by halal butchers, European and African convenience stores. I'd walk to the shops and every person that passed me would be talking in Polish or Czech on the phone or to another person. I'd go into the shop and the assistant would ignore me. There was no chance for small talk. Remember the days when you teach your child about money? You'd get them to pay, count out the change, and the shop assistants would love to help. You can't do that anymore. Most times the assistant would actually be talking to another worker while serving you. They didn't have enough English to talk to you, let alone to want to help you and your child. You get the distinct impression you're just not welcome in their shop. I ended up doing all of my shopping in Sainsbury's, which incidentally had their hands full with drunken Eastern European shoplifters. They keep getting caught stealing alcohol. Again, I'd walk around and hear nothing but foreign voices. Have you any idea how alienating that is? All I want to do, is like have normal day-to-day chat. How are you doing? Smile, chat about the weather. But I can't do that anymore. You can't even have a laugh with a checkout assistant. Have you any idea how alienating it is, especially for the elderly people? They rely on the local shops and now are forced to buy halal meat and foreign biscuits. And that may sound funny to you, but it's not funny to them. I mean, they fought in the wars, but not for this. Who asked them if this is what they wanted, eh? Local high streets now resemble ghettos. Most of the shops are a tatty, dirty, smelly mess that are covered in graffiti. All of the windows are covered in foreign phone cards. I'd get on the bus, look around and not see another English person except for the odd old age pensioner, and no one would offer their seats to them either. The driver would have to deal with Polish people getting on drinking with alcohol, and that's not allowed, but they simply wouldn't listen. You get migrants coming on just expecting to have free travel. And when the driver would go through the areas that are just now like ghettos, you'd have like Afro-Caribbean teenagers barging on, refusing to pay and causing no end of hassle. And then they'd claim racism when the driver dared to ask for a fare or proof of age. And what made it even funnier, some of the drivers were Asian and even they were getting accused of racism. It was just an excuse, nothing but. And that takes me to the driving standards. You should try driving around here. There are so many foreign drivers now that seemingly have no idea of the rules of our roads. I have lost count of the times they have not given way at roundabouts or have nearly run us over at zebra crossings, as pedestrians do not have right of way in their countries. But here in England, we do, but they don't seem to know that. I'm a cyclist and I was knocked off my bike at a roundabout by a man who simply drove at me whilst I was cycling around the roundabout. He spoke no English, he said a few words to me, or more like shouted them at me, and then drove off. He didn't even stop to see if I was okay. And my boyfriend has had 2 crashes in the past 2 years, both caused by uninsured men. One was Polish, we're pretty sure it was Polish, and the other one was Afro-Caribbean, and he was drunk and he'd been smoking dope. Bang, the insurance premiums went right up, lost a no claims bonus. Thanks. We needed that. We're already an unimportant, normal, discriminated against English couple. And that brings us to the Polish bus drivers. Their driving standards, some of them, leave a lot to be desired. They can't read the local signs. They've got no understanding of the local area. So if anyone needs advice, they're left wanting. I had a foreign driver dump me in totally the wrong place when I asked for the hospital. I have a friend who works for a London transport bus company, and he says the cheap Polish drivers are regularly being resent to retraining as they keep crashing, and they've had so many complaints against them, and it's now costing them more money they saved in wages. The NHS. I waited a year for an MRI scan at my local overcrowded hospital, and every time I did attend an appointment, the waiting room was full of foreigners. I regularly have to attend hospital because of the problems that was caused by my unattended birth. And again, full of foreigners with the staff trying to source translators for them. It holds everything up. Everything's always running so behind. I needed fertility treatment to conceive a second child before I had a hysterectomy to correct the problems that I was having, but my IVF was refused. But I know of several Kosovans who came and worked here just to get IVF and succeeded. All on the NHS. Where's the fairness in that? I paid taxes for years. I mean, it's not even a blanket ban on couples that already have a child either, as people who have children from a broken relationship can get IVF, and so can lesbians. So once again, I was discriminated against for being part of a normal English couple. Housing. How on earth did the politicians, you must surely have been aware we had a housing shortage in the southeast, especially in the social sector, think we were suddenly going to have enough homes to house all of these people? And now they want to build on our greenbelt land so there's enough houses? For fuck's sake, just stop letting more and more people come here. We're a small island, and it's been said many times, and we have one of the smallest land-to-people ratios, yet they think we seem to have an inexhaustible supply of room. My parents are stuck in a council house and a road that's nearly all foreign. They sit out in the garden and hear nothing but Kosovan and Somali chatter. My dad makes an effort to chat to the Romanian elderly in the road, and also whilst he goes to Sainsbury's, because they've got no one else to talk to. In the block of flats where I lived, there are so many people crammed into each flat. A lot of the flats in the block were actually private, and so they were being sublet, and the amount of people that were cramming in to get the rent was just phenomenal. The noise is unbearable. All I heard all day, and sometimes into the night, was foreign chatter and people coming and going at all hours of the day with no consideration. They use up all of the washing line space that's meant for the whole block because there's so many of them. The rest of us have to hang ours up inside, adding to the condensation problems. We try and tell them, but they don't understand, or they claim not to. I even went to the trouble of putting the flat numbers on the lines to show who they belong to, but they just totally ignored them. Not to mention, they have illegally fished our reservoir and ponds and killed the swans. How dare they kill our swans? They've ruined the local nature reserve by having illegal barbecues and leaving fishing line everywhere. And they also have the cheek. You know, this is a local dog walking area. You're quite allowed to do it. They have the cheek because they're sitting right on the path in groups. Yeah, and then of course the dogs go running over and they have the cheek to have a go at us. It's absolutely unbelievable. It really is. You know, there's been a few times I've had to rescue pigeons from being tangled up in fishing line, and I know it's only a pigeon, but it's an animal that did not deserve to get caught up in fishing line. They leave all of their rubbish everywhere, but I suppose the government's new big idea of putting bigger signs up will deter them. You stupid fools! They ignore the present signs, and making them bigger will not make them take notice. You're just wasting more money. These people do not want to listen. They do not want to integrate. They just want to take. The local council spend money on signs and leaflets in every language, money that could be spent elsewhere if only migrants could be bothered to learn English. I've got close friends who work very, very hard for what they've got. They don't earn enough to even dream of buying a house. And anyway, why should they? Because social housing is meant to be there for the low-paid people who work in this country. They live in cramped social housing, and they've got 3 children in a single bedroom. Yet time and time again they're overlooked, seeing all the empty properties that they bid on being filled by Somali refugees or now the Eastern Europeans that have got onto the housing list. Where is the fairness in that? I've had enough. I'm a minority. Why should I feel like I'm the one living in a foreign country? Why? Why should I be accused of being racist? I'm a realist. You know, I'm just telling you what I can see. Nobody asked us if we wanted our lives irrevocably ruined in favour of mass immigration. I don't condone teenage hoodies and criminal behaviour, and that will probably be another video rant. But is it any wonder what's left of our youth in the cities feels so disaffected? Every youth club in this area has been closed, and all these services for migrants have opened in their place. Even the sailing base, had its funding removed, and that was a fantastic place for teenagers to go. It gave them something to do and a sense of purpose. Now there's all this resentment, and resentment causes problems. Hatred follows. We all know it's the government's fault, but sooner or later it will be taken out on these migrants. I just wish the government would listen to us, look around them, listen to our concerns, and make amends somehow. When my life is affected, it's bad. When my son's life and education are affected, it's unforgivable. Hello, the NHS and education systems are stretched beyond repair, let alone our housing. I suggest that you rich MPs come and spend a week or a month living here. Send your kids to this school. Do your shopping in the local shops. Get a feel for what it's actually like living here. Then you can tell what is really good for England. You know, the country that used to have English people as its priority. Instead, we've been pushed to our limits. Not one single English person I've ever spoken to wanted this, and we're no longer prepared to take it. Things are going to happen to make you MPs and do-gooders listen. We are not responsible for all the world's problems. It seems all you understand and listen to is people who hijack planes and plant bombs. Do we have to do that too to make you listen?